It's a new year and a brand new season for really rubbish racing. Welcome to V8 Australicars. I am Nicholas Galumis, and joining me for an exciting season is Tom Brooks.
Hello there, thank you very much for having us. It's going to be a fantastic season of racing here at the V8 Australicars series.
It certainly looks that way from testing. This is round 1 of 14, spread across 8 different events. This is the first of 3 different race formats. It's a split 30-30, which means qualifying 1 half-hour race and then a second half-hour race with a reverse grid of the top 8 from the previous race. We're at the Hidden Valley Raceway and Tom is going to tell you all about it. Yes,
the circuit based in Darwin, Australia, of course, 14 turns and a length of 1.78 miles, which is 2.86 kilometres. And as Nick said, 2 30-minute races, which is going to test drivers and their cars to the limit. We're very, very much looking forward to the racing and, of course, the season ahead here with the V8-powered monsters.
Yes, they are very, very difficult cars to drive. I was on site at some of the winter testing before the season, and it's going to be very difficult in the traction zones, in the mid-corner zones. Very much a test of the driver's ability.
Yeah, certainly is. Of course, mental ability and physical ability, of course, as well. Drivers will have to be able to keep cool under pressure and resist from their counterparts, and of course their teammates as well will play a varying factor in the races. It's a very difficult circuit, this, of course, as well, as we saw some drivers going off in qualifying, in testing and the like. So it's a real challenge, this circuit, comprising of high speed, low speed corners, and as we'll find out later on in the pole lap as well, it really is quite the challenge.
Yes, I've been hearing a lot from the drivers about how easy it is to get sucked into thinking you can go on the throttle really early, and then you do so to your cost and you completely ruin your lap.
Yeah, most certainly so. Grip was an issue here, it has to be said, during the practice sessions. And we saw a lot of drivers, like you said, Nick, going off, of course, and having some very difficult traction issues. Drivers who you expected to be at the front of the field, given their pace in Formula R last season, seem to be struggling somewhat this time around. But we'll find out over the next half an hour to an hour over how they did.
We certainly will. These are very different beasts from last season, as we just see someone go off there on the warm-up lap.
Yeah,
that's one of the Tropico motorsport cars.
Yeah, they'll pop into the pit lane to regain and sort their damage out, like you say. But must be done. Beautiful sunny conditions as well, it has to be said, here at Hidden Valley, as we're expecting for the majority of the weekend as well. Hardly a cloud in the sky, with very, very high track temperatures, causing very high tyre wear for some drivers as well. The tyre degradation has been a key factor, as we have seen throughout the practice sessions. As one of the other cars, that's Craig Willard, going off there out of the final corner, but manages to scoop things back up. But like you said, yes, it's been a very, very interesting season last time out, and this time is set to be no different.
We're certainly going to see a little bit of strategy as well, obviously, as you said, with the tyre wear. We should probably be seeing 1 pit stop.
Yeah, potentially 1 pit stop, of course. Some drivers may try and eke it out towards the end, but then, of course, they'll suffer from very high tyre wear and be struggling towards the later stages of the race. But we'll have a look then at the pole lap. We're on board with the Junior Motorsports Ford car of Ollie Knight with the blue helmet, of course. Now, he is coming down towards turn 1, flat out doing about 150 miles an hour, brakes in towards there, shifts it down to second gear into the left-hander and clips the apex very nicely indeed. The idea here is to spot your exit and run it out wide before you fling it over to the middle part of the circuit, clip the apex on the right-hand side and then the left, and then spot your braking point for this very difficult right-hander. Trail braking into there and down into second gear, about 70 miles an hour. One of the cars spun in front of him, didn't deter him, in towards this hairpin, down into first gear for this one, and very difficult for the driver, and the traction of the car as well really does seem to slip up. Now this right-hander coming up is very, very menacing and very, very domineering as well for the drivers. They fling through there and into the left-handed part of the circuit now, shifting down a triple apex left-hander in towards the final part of the lap then. Clips around there, clips the apex for the final corner, runs it out wide, but that corner, of course, always wider than you remember it last time, and it comes down on towards the main straight, across the line, at about 140 miles an hour to take pole position, and what a cracking lap from Knight it was as well.
That was a typically great pole lap from Ollie Knight. He was one of the few people last year who could keep up with the end teams, and will obviously be one of the favourites looking ahead to this season.
Most certainly so. So let's have a look then at the grid, if you want to take them through, Nick.
Yeah, so as we saw Ollie on pole, there's Manuel de Samaniego in 5th. He showed a lot of pace during last season, so we can expect to maybe see a podium challenge from him. Liam Blair of the Defenders in 9th position, which is uncharacteristically low on the grid for him, but hopefully he will improve during the race. And then we get a few more of the regular midfielders, such as Dan Thorne and Pete Walker. Coming up to the back of the grid there, we see some familiar names from last year, like Dave Morley in his black Sega-sponsored car. And bringing up the rear is Tom Brooks, Matt Davies and Ben Hamilton.
Yes, certainly a variety of drivers, different variety of nationalities as well, it has to be said. An all-encompassing sport this is, and we like to cater for different nationalities, different types of drivers, different types of driving styles as well, as we're on board with Ollie Knight on the formation lap. He's leading the pack round as we cross on board to the person right on his rear bumper, Sam Harani of the Offenders. He's in the Holden powered car and has proven to be very, very quick thus far indeed. We see Bryce Harper, his teammate, in 3rd position. A great showing from the Offenders then as the cars all form up towards the grid. Are we ready for a start then, Nick?
We most certainly are, and the crowd is buzzing, get on its feet, waiting for the first start, the first race of the new season. And
what a cracking season it is set out to be. So, Ollie Knight takes his pole position then ahead of Sam Harani of the Offenders. Then comes Bryce Harper, of course, and then the defender of his teammate there, we saw Lee Harrison in 4th position on the grid. So the final cars take their grid slots. Brooks there in the Milwaukee-sponsored Ford, characteristically low grid slot for him, but takes his grid slot eventually, and then we wait for the lights to come on then. So round 1 of 14 is about to get underway. 3 lights, 4 lights, and now 5. And the V8 Australiacars Series in 2015 is go. Great start there from Knight of the start. Also Harani into his slipstream. Bryce Harper pushed towards the outside as the cars come down towards turn 1. Lap 1 of 28. Also looking towards Bellingham in the... there's an incident there. Off goes Knight in the first corner. Bryce Harper also going round, and another car, I think that was a Defender's Holden going off later on in that corner. But what an incident, what a start, meaning Harani then will take the lead on the opening lap. And he is ahead of one of the RlyR Racing Team cars. I believe that's Manuel in 2nd place.
Yeah, Harani just can't believe his luck by now. He's seen all of his principal challenges just wipe each other out the first corner. We've seen before from Harani that if he can stay ahead, if he's first at lap 1, then he'll probably just streak off into the distance and you'll never see him until the podium ceremony. Yeah,
most certainly so. Drivers' eagerness getting ahead of them and causing some of them to go off in towards turn 1. Terrible shame for the likes of Harani and Bryce Harper. They've got quite a bit of work to do to be able to catch up, but we're on board with Tom Bellingham then of the Independables, and he is chasing down James Lambert, number 91 in the Tropico Motorsports car, both behind the wheels of the Holdens, and Bellingham doing a very credible job. But look at the winners and losers then off the start of the grid. And Harani, as we see, got up 1 place. And Manuel Saminyengo. Off goes James Lambert there at turn 1. That was an incident with Bellingham. Bellingham just drove into the side of him. We see one of the, I believe, the Junior Motorsports cars also off at turn 1. That must be Tom White going round. Oh, terrible shame there for those guys through turn 1. Dropping right to the back of the field is Tom White as well, as his teammate we see just in the rear of shot.
That was a shame. Bellingham running high for him in 4th position. He had 1 podium last season. He probably could have fancied chances of repeating. That's Pete Walker's spun.
That is Pete Walker of the Power Racing Team. The Ford car spins round, but manages to get himself going and has ended up once again towards the rear of the field. So only on the opening couple of laps, but we've seen incident aplenty. But Harani remaining cool, calm and collected out in front. Even though he is under pressure, of course, from the RlyR Racing Team of Manuel Saminyengo. He is in 2nd position thus far as they come towards and to start lap 3.
Yes, Manuel took pole position at Road America in the previous season, so we've seen he can be a really fast driver. Hasn't always had the consistency, but now he's got a real good chance of getting what would only be, I think, his 2nd victory in RlyR history. Yeah,
on board with James Lambert now in 12th position. He's ahead of, just going ahead of Davies there in towards turn 1. Great move from him up the inside. Through onto lap 3 then. Quite a cluster of cars at that point in the mid-stage in the race as well. On board with the offenders of James Bryce Harper in 15th position after his contact at turn 1. Not really his fault, but he's looking to make gains and is looking very menacing up there the inside of Tom Bellingham. A spinner going round. That's the Sega Dave Morley. Yeah, number 149. You are quite right there, Nick. He goes round. But manages to regain control as we cross on board with Bryce Harper, who made a position up obviously in the hairpin, now in 14th place, and he's chasing down Davies, the number 85 in the PSP Motorsports car.
this is going to be quite difficult for Bryce Harper because of all the cars so close together ahead of him. If he makes overtaking move and bodges it up slightly, he could end up hitting somebody else and completely ruin his race.
Most certainly so. The difficult part of this circuit as well, especially in the infield section, is that it's very, very narrow, very difficult for two cars to go side by side. But some drivers we've seen trying to muscle their way through and giving the drivers no other option but to uncommit. As we see, I believe that's Walker ahead going past Tom Bellingham then, and manages to get through turn 1. And we see that's Dan Thorne and Tom Bellingham then side by side, and they're in, is that 10th and 11th?
It is, and this is a familiar sight to anyone who's watched really rubbish racing before. The two independent drivers side by side, they're going to be fighting tooth and nail over this position as if it was for the win.
They are, and we saw Dan Thorne there looking very menacing up the inside of his teammate, manages to get ahead, and he is, sorry, Bellingham rather, going to be chasing down the likes of Pete Walker just ahead of him, as that is Ben Hamilton just getting out of the way in the Fire Crew Racing Team V8 cars. Oh, off goes. Ooh. Yeah, that's one of the defenders just running a bit wide there. That's Bellingham, obviously. I think that's a wrong graph. Oh, sorry, that's Manuel setting the fastest lap as we saw. But Ollie Knight, the pole position man, down in 17th place after only 5 laps. Of course, contact at turn 1 really has ruined his race, but he is fighting through. Oh, as we see one of the defenders going off out of the final corner. That's Liam Blair in the Holden. He manages to get going again and is down in 19th position. Blair commented to say that he's having a very tough time driving these cars, but the battle for 15th rages on as we see Hamilton getting out the way once more of his fellow counterparts.
Yeah, Hamilton doing his best. He must have had an incident unsighted, and that's why he's so coming up to be lapped already.
Yeah, I think
Ollie Knight is now making his way through his field. He's just past Dave Morley.
Yeah, and he's making very good progress as well. And that's the defender's car of Liam Harrison you're looking at ahead in the picture. And as we see the Sega car of Dave Morley bringing up the rear of that trio, currently fighting for position. Through the right-hander they come. Now this circuit is very, very tough on tyres, as we mentioned, as Knight goes a bit wide there out of the right-hander and in towards the left-hand part of the circuit. But this circuit very tough on tyres, and as you mentioned in the pre-race discussion there, Nick, could potentially lead to a pit stop for some drivers later in the race.
The way some of these drivers are to their cars, I don't see how they can make it without making a pit stop. I mean, you could just see Knight there getting completely. Oh, we have a little bit of a tap.
Oh,
there.
yeah, as we see one of the drivers, we see is that Joe Nathan up the inside of April Dillon. That's a replay of the incident then, and yeah, just clips Dillon there. What a shame for her. She goes round at turn 1, the number 26, and oh, that allows Craig Woolard then to go into the side of her. What a shame. Goodness gracious, incident further back.
Almost collecting them as well.
Yeah, I believe Lambert caught it. Oh, and as we see Lambert there also clipping off and taking out Bellingham through the right-hander. Complete misjudgment there from Lambert, it looked, in the Tropico Motorsports car, but rather gracefully slows down and lets his countryman back through. But the battle for the lead still comprises of Sam Harani of the Defenders and the RlyR Racing team of Manuel Semenyengo. They're coming up to laps and back markers as well. We see the Fire Crews Racing team, Ben Hamilton, 777 car ahead of him at the moment. And I wonder if that could play a factor, not for Ben Hamilton, but we also saw a Defenders car even further ahead there. We see just going through your shot now, and he could play a bit of a factor in towards this race at the moment. So through the left-hander they come at the moment, and in towards the right, and Manuel certainly piling on the pressure for the RlyR Racing team. Oh, goes out. Oh, Alf out of the right-hander, and that's the number 6 car going to ruin his race and certainly hinder his progress somewhat, but manages to get the car going, and that's the Defenders car.
Someone else.
Yeah, that's Liam Harrison and Ollie Knight having a clip together at turn 1 on lap 7. Incidents all over the place, it has to be said. We'll see a replay of the incident we missed. Do you want to take us through this, Nick?
Yeah, it just seemed that Knight was having a little look and Harrison went a bit too deep into the corner and managed to collect one of the independents, which I think is Bellingham. Yes, you can see the rear view now. So yeah, he just goes a bit too deep and, well, a bit of an avoidable incident, but he came off worse with all his trouble.
See Bryce Harper there, he's made some gains through the field. The last time we saw him, he was in 14th place, but he's in between a Kavitsu Racing sandwich at the moment, and is in 7th place currently. So great progress then from Bryce Harper, as that is Neil Crawford going wide out of the final turn. The 222 car down to 9th, 10th position now as he tries to regain control and get back onto the circuit. Really is demonstrating. Oh, and goes off again onto the into the wall, and all the cars having to take evasive action out of the final corner then. Not what Crawford would have wanted to do. Currently down in 18th position after that, as Bryce Harper around the outside of Campbell Wallace, number 64. He's around the outside and up into 6th position through turn 1. Bet that was a great manoeuvre.
That was very brave by him. We haven't seen too many people try and make that move. Only like, oh, it just goes a little wide there.
Out of the first turn again, so Knight having a bit of a mare of the first race, not the induction into the championship that he would have wanted for sure.
Yes, although he's still got 20 laps to go, maybe he can make his way back up to 8th position, which would give him pole for the next race. Here we are on board with, we've got Craig Woolard here, following Pete Walker. This is the battle for 4th position. Woolard just keeping slightly in his tracks. Yeah, not getting too close. We have seen before people have been too close to each other. They make a slight mistake and then they bump and both go off the circuit. Which,
of course, is the last thing they want for both of their races. It would be no fault of the driver in front necessarily, but yeah, he's doing a great job, is Woolard there. But we see on the ticker tape at the bottom of the screen, Hirani still leads it from Manuel Semenyango for the Velour Racing Team, as that is the battle for 6th position at the moment. Then Campbell Wallace and April Dillon going side by side, the 315 car versus the number 64 through turn 1, and very close between these two, the Scotsman and the American as well, going very very quick.
And right behind there is Matt Davis, who's in quite a good position. He's not usually one that's threatening, but Wallace spins himself around.
Just goes off out of the right-hander, manages to avoid collecting any other cars in his misfortune, but that means he's down to 12th place then, and he's going to make up some serious inroads. Who's that in the pit lane? Dan Thorne for the Independables. Is he in the pit lane? Yeah,
yes, it must be a very early tactical tyre change, and we have, I think, Dave Morley as well is in there as well.
I think you might be quite right. Either they're repairing damage from earlier on, or like you say, a very early tactical change, perhaps hoping that their tyres will not be as shot as they would have hoped at this stage. Ollie Knight really is pushing through the right-hander. We saw him just clipping the grass there, but is very, very competent at this stage in the race. He's got a lot of confidence behind him in his car as well, as that's Campbell Wallace there being harassed by Bryce Harper. So Bryce Harper's lost some positions as well. He's now down in 13th place. He was up in 6th, 7th place the last time we saw him, and he was battling with this very man here of the Kibitsu Racing Team. He pulls towards the inside then, up in towards turn 1, down the main straight. Can he manage to pull off the manoeuvre? Be a very brave man if he can, given the troubles people have had in their braking. Wallace fights back, but I think, textbook manoeuvre there, just shuts the door on him, does Bryce Harper, and manages to get ahead. As we see the Independables car just moving out of the way, so through the right and the left they come. Campbell Wallace there looking up the inside into the right-hander, but Bryce Harper firmly shuts the door. And yeah, I think Campbell Wallace is going to be too far ahead and in the wrong position up the inside into the hairpin. And indeed he doesn't. So Bryce Harper there up it now into, I believe, 11th place, as Davies and Bellingham are going head-to-head then.
Yeah, it's two-way for scrap here. Davies is, as I was saying before, not always regularly in the points, so this position will mean a lot to him if he can finish here. But he
he's punted Davies off there into the final corner as Bellingham. So just another misjudgment of braking, I have to say, from the Independables driver. A terrible shame there as we see a yellow flag on circuit. Off goes there, Ollie Knight again at the final corner. As you say, spins off backwards into the final turn, and he is having a torrid time out there at this stage in the race, and is now battling with one of the Defenders cars. So we see a replay on board then with Knight, as one of the Defenders cars goes off there, and Ollie Knight just misjudges his braking, gets a bit caught up with the Defenders car going off, and that sends him straight off. So yeah, Lee Harrison just clipping the grass and going off, and that distracts Bellingham for just a moment and just lapses his concentration, as we see Dave Morley and the PSP Motorsports car of Davies then going very close. Not Dave Morley, that was Tom Bellingham who spins again, yes. Oh dear, what a shame for Bellingham. So Bellingham and Knight are the two drivers having torrid times out there at this stage in the race. But needless to say, it's when the grit factor comes in at this part. It's Davies then going up the inside of Knight. Doesn't manage to make it stick, not quite. Through the left-hander they come. And lock of the brakes there, in through they go. But Knight runs it a bit wider than Davies, it has to be said, but he manages to keep it all together, and it looks like Davies has got a great run there now into the main straight, tucks in behind the slipstream of the number 25. Wonder if he can make a manoeuvre up the inside. Knight goes defensive, but I believe Davies has got the high ground here. Can he manage to take advantage of the slipstream in towards turn 1? Don't forget about Campbell Wallace as well. He's going to be very menacing. The Kibitsu Racing car is very close behind, but Davies does manage to get it through as Wallace. Yeah, very strange incident there for the number 64. He goes wide and spins off. The two Independables cars come flurrying through the screen. Bit of a tap there from one of the, I think that was Dan Thorne that managed to tap Campbell Wallace, and he's now down in 15th, 16th position, I believe.
That was quite strange there. We saw with Davies, he was in the slipstream, he tucked out, and then it seemed to lose straight line speed compared to the car ahead, and we just see him rumbling across the curbs there. Trying a little bit too hard. Yeah,
perhaps he's had a bit of an incident later on in the lap and suffering a bit of damage, or perhaps tyre wear as well, as I was saying before. That drama unfolded, as that's Dan Thorne, the Independables car in the pit lane. The 802 has retired from this race then. A terrible shame for the Independables, and a torrid start to their year. Is that Ben Hamilton off in the fight?
That is Hamilton. Hamilton, the quite dangerous position, but he moves himself out quickly.
It is. The 23rd position car running, I believe, all but last position, as Tom White now, Ollie Knight's teammate for the Junior Motorsports team, is in the pit lane. The Wales racing car opts for a pit stop.
We are halfway through the race, so a few of the incidents we've seen perhaps we can attribute to tyre wear.
We can indeed.
Ronnie still leads.
He does, he's comfortably out in front, but tyre wear, a key factor at this race, as I mentioned earlier on, drivers complaining about their tyres and how quickly they were wearing, especially in these longer sort of stints. The half-an-hour stints are quite long in these cars, and it feels like a bit of an eternity driving around at this circuit. If you don't pit in this half an hour, you're going to be crawling around towards the back of the field, it has to be said. But Hirani, for the offenders, currently out in front.
And he's established a 10-second lead now, as I said before. Once he gets out in front, he tends to stay there and disappear, although Manuel did give him a run for his money. Here's Campbell in the pit lane. This is his scheduled stop. He's down in 20th position. See what he can do from here. Yeah,
we'll have to wait and see. The Scotsman has endured another tough race, as have a lot of the drivers at this time out. I think it's caught them by surprise just how hard wearing this race is going to be, as we see Harrison and Davies then. They're very close, fighting for 10th and 11th place through turn 1. And Davies manages to stay ahead of Harrison at the moment in the defender's car, but he pulls up the inside then in towards the right hand. He'll be a very brave man if he can pull that off, but Davies firmly shuts the door in the 85, and there can we see that's Campbell Wallace. He's looking very menacing, but I believe Wallace is a lap down due to the pit stop that he made and his incident earlier on, so he won't be looking to get anywhere near this battle. We'll be looking to stay out of it, or at least these two ahead of him will be hoping that they be, as Davies goes a bit wide out of the right-hander, and that just allows Harrison to catch up in the defender's car. And very close into the braking zone there, Nick.
Oh, it looked like there was a tiny little tap between them, but it doesn't look to have
perhaps a little love tap coming up
down the inside.
In the inside into the final corner. There's an unorthodox passing place. Can't quite pull it off, but he's got a very good run on towards the back straight then, as we see all sorts of drama carrying on further back. One of the Independables cars looking very menacing. That'll have to be Bellingham by factor of denomination then, as they come up towards turn 1 to Bellingham. Then he's going to get 2 in 1, I believe. He does. Fantastic. What an overtake there from Bellingham for the Independables. Great move from him.
And Harrison is through as well.
Yeah, he is up the inside of Matt Davies. So Davies there loses 2 positions in 1 corner.
And it's going to be 3 now with Tom White.
He is, and there's a driver slowing. That's Manuel de Samanyango. He was so close to Hirani earlier on. I don't know what the cause of his problem is. Maybe a technical fault with his car, perhaps?
Yeah, it doesn't appear to be any smoke, so it might be a transmission or electrical failure.
It could be, but what a shame there for the Spanish driver. He is out on lap 16 of the race, out of 28 at the moment. Terrible. He's currently on the racing line. They have to be very wary because he's travelling very slowly, and the closing speed on these cars, especially through that corner, which is very unsighted, could prove to be very, very interesting. Could prove to be quite a factor, but all drivers very, very sensibly avoiding him and managing to stay out of the way. So Manuel de Samanyango retires from the race. The number 6 car is out on lap 16. A terrible shame there, because he was having such a strong showing, and that, needless to say, promotes O'Dell then up into 2nd place.
Which would be an astonishing result for O'Dell. We haven't seen really anything of him so far this race, but that's very characteristic of him.
Yeah, very cool.
Making very few mistakes and picking up where people fall off by the wayside.
Very quiet race there, as we see Tom Brooks getting out the way of the cars coming through, fighting for 10th and 11th places thus far. But as you mentioned, O'Dell has proven to be somewhat of a quiet driver during this race, but that doesn't necessarily mean, as you said, he's having quite a bad race. Far from it, in fact, sitting pretty in 2nd position at this stage. as Harrison there is very close behind Bellingham now through the right-hander, but I think Bellingham, as he runs it a bit wide, just about to curse his, do the commentator's curse there, through there, is for 8th position. I apologise, I mentioned it was 10th earlier on, but I apologise, it is for 8th position there. Harrison in 9th, and the Junior Motorsports car in 10th place at the moment then.
Yeah, Harrison's going to really want to be dispatching Tom soon, otherwise his own position will be under threat. Easier said than done. It is Knight who is following them, not Tom White, as I said before. So he has recovered quite well from his many earlier spins.
And Knight, yeah, looking up the inside and turn. Yeah, not quite. He's very close. He's up the inside though of Bellingham in the Independables. Can he make that stick up the inside? He went for one and got the other. But I just can't make it stick. Bellingham gets a very good exit there in the number 33 out of turn 1. And that allows Harrison to just have a bit of a breather as these guys go head-to-head. A Knight up the inside through the right-hander, but not quite there once more. Bellingham firmly shuts the door as he sets his sights on the defender's car of Harrison. But we're on board with number 23, Alex O'Dell at the moment. He's having a very good race in 2nd place. Into the pit lane he comes then for a tyre change.
So that accounts for his 2nd place position.
Yeah, he does. He inherited that on pit stops then. But now in the pit lane, and he's going to pop out, and I believe that's 7th or 8th place as we're on board then with Knight. He's off the circuit in towards turn 1.
And can he keep it together? He just keeps it on the grey stuff.
He does, as I think I saw Ben Hazelton going wide through turn 1, as well as Craig Woolard there. The number 86 Eiffel Motorsports car resumes the race in 10th place, overtaken there by Tom Brooks in the Young Offenders car. He is a lap or 2 down, I believe. He's having a torrid race so far, is the number 3. But Alex O'Dell is having a very good run. He's in 7th place, 9th place, I apologise, currently. He came out a bit further back than we expected in the Power Racing car. The number 23, though, very vivid colour scheme on that one, it has to be said.
Yeah, Alex is a very talented graphic designer, and we've always seen some great liveries from his pen.
And certainly so, and this year is no exception. So the car doing very well, as is the driver, having a very strong showing there in 9th position. And needless to say, there are some drivers ahead of him, I believe, who are still yet to pit. So that could promote O'Dell even further up into the point scoring positions. But he's currently sitting there in 9th place.
Of course, by being one of the last ones to pit, he'll have much fresher tyres for the end of the race, which could improve to well, a few positions all, really. Certainly
so, and his teammate Pete Walker there in 2nd place in the other Power Racing car. James Lambert in the Tropico Motorsports car is in 3rd, as 4th is Bryce Harper. He's really made some progress up the field, as April Dillon very close behind in 5th place, is she?
Yes, and I think that position there of Bryce Harper as Dillon is now actually challenging for it. Can't go around the outside there, but she's going to continue to stalk him, see if she can make a move into the head.
He got a yellow flag on circuit as well on lap 20. But April Dillon very close behind Bryce Harper. That's her teammate, though, going off. That's Rob Covey. He's off in the number 43. Goes very wide out of the right-hander there. That's a very strange place to go off, it has to be said.
And I think he was missing his front bumper, as we just saw at the start of that incident.
You're quite right. So damage there for the Howler Racing team as April goes wide into turn 1, but manages to regain it, and is under ever-increasing pressure is Bryce Harper in front in the SpaceX liveried Offenders car.
This is quite impressive stuff from Dillon. She's a rookie in, she's only think this is her 3rd race in really rubbish racing position, but she's already challenged at the front. As
I think we see Rob Covey, that's what caused the incident. Just Craig Woolard there going very wide and spinning out of the hairpin, the number 86, and that caused Rob Covey's demise in this race. What a shame for him. 11th place though is Joe Nathan. He's being challenged by Neil Crawford in the Kibitsu racing car. He goes around the outside, does Crawford, but isn't quite there, and that allows the RlyR Racing team to stay ahead. As Woolard there just getting lapped by these drivers. He's got no front bumper and is pretty much a mitigating factor in this race. He will be pitting fairly shortly, but on lap 21 we are out of 28, and Woolard there in 12th place. But surely I don't see how he can continue with this damage. Has he got damage? No, he hasn't. I apologise. That's his front bumper looking like he's missing it. It's just the design of it. It's just a black bumper, and that was my mistake. I apologise about that.
Yeah, I did think that was missing myself.
Well, it's a good thing we spotted that one. It's a very interesting colour scheme, that car. It has to be. Yeah, it does look very, very like it. But yeah, Craig Woolard then is piling on the pressure to Neil Crawford through the final right-hander. And can he manage to get ahead? He's got the slipstream as they come on towards lap 22. and pulls out of it. Sorry, I apologise, that was Wallace ahead of him, but isn't quite there at this moment, but pulls back into the slip-through, heading up towards turn 1. Again, the quick left-hander, sorry, the hairpin left-hander in towards the quick right-hander, I should say, but manages to get up the inside then of number 222, and not enough. No, he's manages to stay ahead. Does the Kibitsu Racing car. But it was Wallace. It was. It has allowed Wallard through. You're quite right. And oh, he spins off through the right hand, and as off goes Wallace in tandem as well. So the sympathy spins from the two drivers there.
What a bizarre set of incidents.
Yeah, they obviously.
Although it's not the first time we've seen that.
Obviously struggling with their tyres at this stage in the race, perhaps. And as we see Harrison then going at the inside of Lambert in towards turn 1, bit of a love tap between the two, and that allows Harrison Lambert to stay ahead of Harrison for the time being, but I think Harrison's just got superior pace compared to his Tropico Motorsports rival.
Yeah, Harrison is one of the fastest drivers in the field. He just gave a little tap there and decided not to take advantage of it. He's quite a gentleman driver we've seen in the past. He won't lunge or take someone out unnecessarily, but he does make a little move there.
Yeah, sells him a dummy up the inside into the hairpin, slot towards the outside, and then planted it up the inside, but wasn't any room for Harrison to be able to capitalise on that. Through the right-hander they go, though. Lap 23 of 28 we're on currently. It's absolutely flown by this race, it has to be said. And it's
just, you don't know where to look really to see what's happening.
Drama unfolding every single place you look at the moment, and the director's doing a good job of keeping up to date with the action. But Harrison got a good run. Also look at Knight a bit further. Is that Knight a bit further back, or is it White?
I think that is Knight, and he's maybe going to get a double slipstream here, so Harrison is going to have to think about how to defend as well as how to attack in this next corner.
Certainly so. He comes then up the inside of the number 91, James Lambert. Manages to make the manoeuvre stick, but goes very deep on the brakes, and that allows Lambert to just get back through. So he then retakes his position, and that's going to allow the Junior Motorsports cars to get ever closer at the moment. But I have to say, Harrison proving to be very, very competent and very quick at this stage in the race. Is the Samsung liveried car as well. His Holden Motorsport outfit is proving to be very, very reliable and very consistent as well.
Yes, Harrison has shown in the past he's very adept at cars which are scribbly at the back, so he doesn't mind the rear end moving around. He can live with it and control it.
Yeah, certainly so. We cross on board then with Knight for the Junior Motorsports car. He's in 7th place at the moment and has really made some inroads. I'm not sure if he's made a pit stop and that's how he's made his time up. But
yeah, he seems to be a bit far ahead, even considering his great pace from where he started.
Yeah, so I don't believe Knight may have made a pit stop, but that means that's going to have some key factors at this stage in the race. It may prove that Knight could end up with severe tyre wear. He must be suffering from it quite at the moment, but he's putting in a very competent performance and is quicker than that ahead of them, it has to be said at the moment. Through in towards...
It's amazing how he can keep his pace up.
It is, and there goes Harrison into the side of Lambert into turn 1, so Harrison just getting a bit impatient and perhaps misjudging his braking in towards the corner and just giving a little love tap there to James Lambert.
And of course, all the while, this is Lown Bellingham now getting shot closer and closer.
Yep, as you see, say further back, the Independables driver has had a very good run thus far, despite some incidents earlier on in the race, but is proving to be very, very competent and very quick at this stage in the race. Perhaps his pit stop may have helped him somewhat.
Yes,
we saw Lambert and Harrison there having a bit of a blow, and that allows Knight to gain 2 positions then in one corner. So Ollie Knight, who was at the back of the field after an incident at turn 1, is now up in 5th place. What a drive!
It's an extraordinary drive, and Harrison is going to have to rein in a little bit of his impatience. We've seen a few taps now on Lambert, and the stewards won't take kindly to it if that ends up in a race-ending incident.
No, certainly so. We're on board with Tom Bellingham, then he's got a great view of Harrison and Lambert then going head-to-head towards turn 1. Lambert again defends very nicely, and that just allows... Oh, but Harrison goes up the inside, he does, and does it too deep. You are quite right. Oh, they come to blows at the end of the corner. Very close. Almost touching wheels. I think they did have a bit of a love tap through there, and that hinders Lambert's progress somewhat. Through there they go, and that's going to allow Tom Bellingham to have a look at the Independables as he does so through the right-hander. Can he make the manoeuvre? Oh, Harrison, yeah, he goes off on lap 26, down to 9th, 10th place, I believe, and that's going to ruin the Defenders driver's race at this late stage. But it's now Lambert then and Bellingham for the Independables. But we saw having so much incident earlier on, is having a very strong end to his race, and he's in 7th place, chasing down Lambert in 6th.
Oh.
That was Ben Hamilton, back marker going off as we see an instant there, he was just off the circuit and oh, very close.
So close.
Lambert there was very lucky to avoid him.
Yeah, it looked like Hamilton was trying to be overly generous and letting by the lead cars and just completely got it wrong.
Yeah, most certainly so, but Bellingham got a good run, and then on this straight, as he looks to come up the inside into turn 1, can he make the manoeuvre stick? Last of the late breakers then in towards this hairpin move. And oh, bit of a love tap between the two, and that allows Bellingham to go through past Lambert for the Tropico Motorsports car. He goes down a place and is now in 7th position and is very close behind. Alex O'Dell is very close behind, I should say, in the Power Racing, Power Racing Ford rather. So he is having a very strong end to the race, is Bellingham, as I keep mentioning. And through the hairpin he goes, and Lambert there now down in that position we saw. But the penultimate lap we're on, and a very strong race from Hirani, who's still out in front. And what can you say about the offenders driver? He's had an absolute, a clean-free race, it has to be said.
Yeah, it's just nothing surprising there. If you've seen Hirani's previous races, he's just completely immaculate in free air. Very rarely ever makes a mistake. Majestically fast, you don't know how he does it.
No, you don't. And there we see, that's O'Dell, who's got a great run then on Lambert then on the main straight, so they come down side by side, and O'Dell already ahead before the braking zone. So great straight line speed there from the Power Racing car.
But has he left the door open? Lambert's going to have a little look down, not quite close enough.
Yeah, it's just not quite there is Lambert, so Lambert going backwards on towards the final lap they are now then. But as we see your order, it's been a great race then from Pete Walker. He's made 12 positions in this race so far, and he's sitting pretty in 2nd place, but Hirani out in front and comfortably leading the field.
Well, that's outstanding by Walker. I saw him in 2nd place and was expecting him to pit at any moment, but he already had made his pit stop.
Yeah, so through the hairpin we see O'Dell. He's ever threatening towards Bellingham on the final lap of the race, but the leaders though are going to be coming around to complete their race, but Bellingham getting all crossed up and getting a bit wide out of there. That allows O'Dell to travel towards the outside. Can he make the manoeuvre stick? Yes, he can!
Wow.
What a fantastic overtake there from O'Dell, up into 6th place, and that gets him ahead of the Independables car of Tom Bellingham. What a drive! So then we see Sam Hirani comes around the final corner, then weaving from side to side, and the Briton wins the inaugural race here at Hidden Valley. What a drive from the offenders driver. He wins the race and stops shortly before the line. What's happening here for the offenders driver? But he crosses the line then to take the victory, and then we see that's Lambert and Harrison still going head to head through turn 1. They're still fighting for position, of course. 8th and 9th place they're fighting for, so Lambert could be threatened to be relegated down to 9th place.
And of course whoever gets the 8th place will be on pole position for the next race, so this will be incredibly important.
Yes, it is. It's the reverse grid pole, of course, as you mentioned. So through the right-hander they go. It's Lambert's currently ahead of Harrison through the left-hander.
Harrison's going to go around the outside.
I don't think he's going to have the position. No, he's not. Not quite the track position or the traction out of that corner. His tyres definitely suffering at this stage in the race. Of course, the closing stage. Oh, gets it all crossed up out of the left-hander. The right-hander, sorry. Yeah, I think that's over. So Lambert then will take the reverse grid pole. Bryce Harper crosses the line to take 4th and 5th position there for Ollie Knight, I believe it was. And we see O'Dell crossing the line, and then we see the Independables car of Tom Bellingham rounding off a great finish for him. A great end to the race. So Lambert then gets the reverse grid pole. And we're on board with Hirani, the race winner, the #1, the reigning world champion, has an absolutely fantastic first race at the V8 Australicars series. What a great result it was, Nick.
Just a dream. So look at 26 seconds ahead, just completely in the class of his own.
Yeah, quite right you are, as we see the finishing positions there on your screen. Liam Blair down in 13th place, White in 14th, Dave Morley in 15th as well. Campbell Wallace having a bit of a torrid start to his season, and is down in about 17th or 18th place, but the championship positions are of course as the race 1 results. So Hirani leads it with 20 points. Pete Walker, April Dillon, she made the podium in, I think like you said there, Nick, only her 3rd event, so is sitting pretty in 3rd place in the championship.
Well, what can you say about that? Just a dream start for the American.
For the team championship standing, the offenders comfortably out in front, 8 points ahead of the Power Racing squad. Howler there in 3rd position as well. But the offenders, what a dream start to them.
A dream start and business as usual, carrying on from last year. They were the class of the field then. and they remain so today.
It's been a fantastic first race thus far. We're very, very much looking forward to seeing what race 2 can bring, and as you mentioned, the reverse grid event. But let's have a look at some highlights then of the race thus far. We saw an incident at turn 1, as also there we saw Lambert going around the Tropico Motorsports car as one of the defenders went off as well, and it was Lambert who was very much at the centre of the action, especially with that incident through turn 1. But Bryce Harper there having a great battle with Campbell Wallace at the mid stages through the race, and he managed to finish in a very strong position, but it was Harani who was comfortably out in front, as the PSP Motorsports car that we saw there of Matt Davies getting all caught up in the action further in the race, as Manuel Demen Samanyengo, he retired later on in the race with a technical problem as the drivers made their pit stops. But Bryce Harper having a very, very good run, as one of the drivers there causing a bit of incident. That was Craig Woolard out of the hairpin, and Woolard again having a spin later on in the race in tandem with Campbell Wallace. But it was James Lambert who was very, very slow in the last section of the race, it has to be said, just avoiding incident there with one of the Fire Crew's racing team cars, but he just went backwards in the latter stages of the race.
Yeah, it was this great race for comeback drivers. Certainly a lot of drivers around about lap 14 were well out the points, but somehow managed to make it back into the thick of the action.
Of course, but no credit taken away from Lambert. An astonishingly strong drive from him, finishing in 9th position. But at the star of the day, of course, has to be Sam Harani, who took the maiden victory for the offenders in the V8 Australiacars Championship.